I know I'm not going to tackle this in the project, but I have enough trust in you that you're going to take what I did and what I've established and push that further.
We have a super exciting episode, an after-hours edition of Low-Key Legends. My guest is none other than Dust, the creative director of Locomotive. From strategy to deployment, his primary role revolves around providing a creative vision and guidelines to the team. He is active in transforming client dreams into tangible, feasible solutions. Without any further ado, welcome, Dust. Thank you so much for being here. Like I said, it's a special episode. It's after hours. It is night. It is fall. We're getting cozy. We have beers. We're chilling. And I thought it would be a perfect way to kick off by talking about some beers that we're drinking and some music that we're listening to recently. And for everyone out there, the context is a few years back, Locomotive and Rogue tag teamed a website together and created Brews Grooves, which is a musical experience that pairs together albums and beers in a symbiotic relationship. And as an homage to Brews Grooves, I'd love to know what you're drinking and what you might listen to with it.
Well, I brought two beers from a brewery that we really love at the agency. It's actually a couple streets west of where we are, on Jean Talon in Montreal. It's called a Brasserie Mellon, Mellon. I think they have like an accent somewhere, but no, actually no. And they make great beers. It's always fresh. It's always like there. And I brought two that I really like that they do actually in a can, because most of their new stuff is always like there. So I have like a smooth one, like a sour that's called Pairings mais différent, which means the same but different. So it's a pale ale, a sour pale ale. And I brought another one that I really like. It's called All the Small Things, and it's a German lager.
Nice.
So a bit stronger, and I'm really into lagers these days. Like, drank so much fucking IPAs and hoppy beers like in the past years that I'm like kind of tired of like all this hoppiness. I'm more into like the sours and the lagers and something more like classic in terms of taste. And they just like master all these kinds of beers, from those to like sours to lagers to IPAs or like sessions and stuff like that. So it's really good beer.
Sours are having like a huge moment, like the past, let's say 2-3 years. They've been popping up. Like every brewery's got a sour, but it doesn't mean that every brewery that makes a sour is good. So when you find one, it's like pure magic.
I don't like when it's too sour, but when it has that little tang in it, it's just so refreshing, especially in the summer, like hot nights and stuff like that. It's just like such a nice bière de balcon, like we would say in French, like a nice, you hang out on the porch kind of beer, like after a hard day of work.
Yeah, kick your feet up and just chill.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah.
I mean, like one like, 8 APV IPA, and you just might get a little bit sleepy. So having something refreshing is nice.
Yeah, and I kind of like low alcohol beers. I think there's much taste in them, more refreshing. Like when it's over like 5 or 6, I'm just not into it too strong. I would rather go from like some spirits or some wine or some stuff like that. I love like a refreshing beer. Like that's really my stuff there.
Yeah, amazing. I am drinking. Let me look at the art. This is from Aeronaut Brewery. This is in Boston. I guess technically Somerville, so like a suburb of Boston.
Yeah, I love the design.
And what the hell is this called? Into the Citra Galaxy. So it's a session India Pale Ale, and it says, "Drinkers, join us as we venture out on an interstellar ride into the Citra Galaxy." So we got some like robots like crushing this like building. So I'm into them. They're a cool brewery in Boston, and that's where I went to school, and like I have lived in Massachusetts, I'd say the longest period of my life. So repping a local beer here.
But my drinking game switches from like summer to winter. I don't know if it's the same for you, but like in the summer, I'm more into sessions, like gals, like salty beers, and those sour, those like refreshing lagers. But in the winter, like a nice white beer, a nice like dark stout. You get into more like rich and heavy beers, or bourbon. You like whiskey?
I think the first thing that we have to address is how you got the nickname Dust.
The Dust nickname / alias comes from I think the mid 2000s. I started working with this amazing graffiti / illustrator. She's a woman from France. She's called Ashes 57. Now you can search her. She has like a great work. She has worked with Shepard Fairey, like a great artist. She used to run a great thing with dubstep in England, on the England scene, like doing a lot of photography and stuff like that. And she switched it to the Chicago footwork, I think it's called, scene. And she's just this amazing artist. And in the mid 2000s, we were roommates for a long time. We like worked with different artists, and she's a very hands-on artist, illustrator. She loves to draw things. She loves to like create all these things. And I was more like the print layout logo guy. So it was like the very like creative, like crazy spark with the more Swiss design kind of like dude. And it was always like her work coming in my hand and me like finishing. So it was always like Ashes to Dust. So she had the name, she had like everything, and we just like connected the dot and like you're Ashes, I'm Dust. And we started this duo that lasted a couple of years. We did like some album cover work, like some like different like designs, and at this time I was a drum and bass MC too. So at that time my drum and bass MC was Cubic. So, and it was with me for such a long time, and I kind of hated it. So I took the occasion and just switched it to Dust MC, and I continued the MC thing with the Dust and plus the design thing with the Dust. So it just stuck. So like there's even people sometimes that hear my real name, which is Sebastien, and they're like what? Like I thought you were Dustin. Nothing to do with Dustin. It's just like an old thing. It's kind of silly, but I mean, it stuck, and I kind of embraced it, and I just played with it. And it also gives me like this sense of like, oh, it's not my persona that's out there in the public realm. I have like kind of this alias to like shepherd my like little thing. So I kind of love the mask. Of it.
It gives you like creative freedom to do kind of whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, you can see it like that. I'm just a very like private person. I love it. It's crazy because I grew up wanting to be a fucking rock star, playing in bands and like wanting all that attention. And like past my 30s, I was like, no, I'm more of a like behind the camera guy. Like I'd rather be like working on an image for somebody and crafting that than actually be that person that's in the spotlight.
What type of music were you listening to back then? And then is there anything different that you're really into now? And then we'll just circle back to what music you would pair with your beer.
Okay. Well, music for a long time, it was like bass music. Like I was like very involved in the Montreal scene, emceeing into like parties and raves and stuff like that. So like, of course, drum and bass, the whole dubstep era, like this kind of music, like breaks, UK garage, two steps, all that electronic music is really like part of my background and what I like. And as much as I think drum and bass is so out, I did the H thing, so out, you see my
your French Canadian showing.
Even now I listen to old drum and bass and I can still like, it's so like familiar to me, like it's like this. But hip hop was a big influence, especially in the 90s when was in school and stuff like that. But also, strangely, metal and punk. Like always been like to me, like a band that always fascinated me was the Beastie Boys.
Hell
Like
yeah.
it kind of like bridged this gap, between hip hop and rock, let's say, like in the 90s. And I remember being in parties when I was like 16, 17. And the only parties where the hip hop crew was with the punk crew was when Beastie Boys were playing, or like bands like Cypress Hill, or bands that were like kind of bending, that universe. So like always like this hard kind of rock thing. I don't like soft rock. It needs to fucking blow it, fucking like, and for the rest, it needs to groove. So it needs to like bounce, groove. Like that's why I love drum and bass, hip hop. It's just like based on grooves all the time. So this is two aspects. And growing up, I think the more and more I hate music with lyrics.
I feel you on that.
Because I can't work or can't think when there's music with lyrics, because I just get into lyrics. Like if I like play some old school hip hop, I'm not working. I'm just like singing the fucking song, and I'm not concentrating. But I can put some deep house, or like something repetitive, something like no lyrics. Like could be classical music, could be like anything. But if there's no lyrics, I can really like dig deep into the work, or into the strategy you're building, or like really like get in the thought process instead of just being outside of me actually like listening to the music.
I love the bands, the groups that are doing like the genre bending and fusing all sorts of weird shit that doesn't seem like it would make sense. I think the Beastie Boys really kind of got me into that style of thinking, and that's like even mainly where I think my design style comes from, is that methodology of just like fusing weird stuff, whether it's
well that's very like New York,
Yeah.
like state of mind, like to me, like there's two city that I've experienced. It's probably more, but two city that really find like unique is New York and Amsterdam. Like they're unique for the same reason, I think, is that half of the people are not from there. It's like every time I was in Amsterdam, like I rarely met some actual Dutch. Like more of the people I met were like people from New York, from New Zealand, from like another place, but they all like gather around in this crazy creative city. And same thing with New York, like you have people like chasing their dreams, coming from everywhere in the world. And I worked like 6 months in New York back in 2004 or 5, and stayed there. And to me, like it was like, for a Montreal guy, or was used to like that chill, like French Canadian, like vibe, working 6 months in New York was brutal. I called in sick one day. I didn't call sick one day and got there late by like I think 11:30, and somebody had my spot. I was out.
My gosh. Jeez.
So I was pretty young. I was in my early 20s, so I just came back to Montreal. Yeah, but I think New York is a special place. If you're very, very ambitious, like there's not a lot of place like this in the world where you can actually like go all in. But it's so competitive. To me, like it was like a bit too much.
It's the hustle, it's the grind. But I think we got to jump back a little bit to how you first got into design. We talked a little bit about where your nickname came from, and you talked about doing print design and doing some brand work and loving Swiss design. But did you go to traditional design school?
Yeah, but I never finished.
So why didn't you finish, and what was that story?
Well, I had a strange journey at first. Like I told you, like when I was a teenager, I was like all about music, art, of course. I was drawing a lot, but it was mainly music. And I always like was in bands and stuff like that, and always had this like idea of like becoming like a musician and stuff like that. And I also had the artistic, like visual part to this. When I had bands, I was always doing the covers. I was doing all the stuff graphically. But at one point I realized, like this music industry is like kind of crazy to make money out of it. So of course, like design was like my other way where I could express myself and actually like do something with it. So design school for me was kind of hectic. Started with art plastique, which is like more like art school, like drawing, sculptures, like art history and stuff like that. So got really interested into art history, especially the Bauhaus, like the modernists and stuff like that. And that draw me a bit more in graphisme, that we call it in French, which is more traditional graphic arts. I'm speaking like 1997. Like, so it's like, forget the computers. It's like everything is like drawing boards and like les tables à dessin, like everything like there. So, and I sucked at it. I was not like that manual. I was like struggling, like doing my letters, my S's, like everything. So got mad, switched program again, went to infographie en pré-impression, like pre-print design. So basically like not even design. It was more about like learning to use like big machines and separate colors and like really pre-print stuff. And did a year there, got sick, and started working in an awning company. This is a crazy story. So this is like the most lazy job I ever had in my life. So picture this, I'm like 20, maybe 19 or 20. And you know how you are at 19, 20. Like if you can't do any effort and get some money, you'll do it. You don't think about necessarily about growth and how I'm gonna grow as a being and like what challenges me and blah, blah, blah. So I just started working in this awning company, which I knew later was like led by some bikers, but didn't know that at the time. So I had this little office in the corner, and like all I had to do is like those salesmen would go to like a commerce or like a house, and they would take picture of the house, and I had a software that would put 3D awnings, and I would go in Photoshop and like kind of slap a logo like on the awning and kind of prepare like a file for the salesman to go after, and kind of get a prize, get a submission, and like get the sale. To me, like I automated everything in design, like it was like just like I did the work like the first week, had all the files. The 3D software was super easy to use, but these guys were like didn't know anything about like anything. I was fixing printer by like turning on and off, and it was working, and I was getting praise, and so
you're a hero.
So all day, everything I would do, I would download MP3 from Napster while playing Quake 3.
Hell yeah. What a life.
Like people think I'm working. I'm a fucking like lasering people in Quake 3. Like I'm so good because I'm fucking playing all day. And at the end of the day, I would do like the job I had to do. Like it would take me an hour and a half, and like I would put everything on everybody's desk, and everybody was like, "Oh my god, it's so good! It's crazy." And I was like jumping sales, like the company was doing so good, and da. So, of course, at one point, I got like, "Oh my god, this is so boring. I'm not learning anything. I'm kind of stuck in this place." So I went back to school, went back to university. Went back to like actual design school, way more serious school, UQAM in Quebec, in Montreal, and started the program there, but got a job at one point with from a teacher. I'm not going to say his name, but don't want to get him in trouble. But finally started working elsewhere and really started my career. And I found out that it's actually way more fast to learn when you're actually doing the thing in a company than at design school, because this theory is great, like I love learning about history of art and put an H there.
I like that.
Art, yeah. At least I noticed them now.
Oh, we're gonna have to do like an H count or something on like the video podcast.
That'll be so funny. I'll try to make more so we can really
Get that count up.
So yeah, so after the design school, it was all about like doing work. But I'm still in my 20s. I'm still dumb as fuck. I'm still doing a lot of drugs. I'm still like partying like crazy. So like nothing really advanced, you know. Like, and for people out there that are like, oh, I'm 26, I'm not there yet. Like, it really started for me at 29. Like before that it was just like fucking around, you know, like and finding out. But yeah, like fucking chaotic, like journey where I kind of grasp a couple concepts in school and you know kind of dropped out and start working, and I freelanced a lot, like from 2005 to 2010-ish. Was all about freelance, was all about like working with a lot of musical artists. So like my love for music, my love for like when I was a teenager kind of translated behind the camera, like working like album covers, like clips and stuff like that. And you know, I had the chance to work with Marie-May, which is like a French Canadian kind of like pop star. You know, it's our own little I don't know, what's an American pop star? Taylor Swift. It's our own like little Taylor Swift or something. Like maybe more Lady Gaga-ish, but like I don't know, kind of that. And I worked an album with her, a couple more low-key kind of bands and artists, but always like great stuff, working with like super cool photographers, doing concept, but no money. There's no money in music. You have to do it with love. You have to do it like, oh my God, we're going to do this great thing. But I mean, I was like getting like $2,000, $3,000 for like 2 months worth of work. And you know, like it's not sustainable if you like want to build a career. You know, it's great if you want to like explore and work with artists, but at least in Quebec, I'm sure there's a lot of artists out there who do like album covers that get paid the real value of their work. But at that time in Montreal doing my thing, you know, it was like more for the fun of it. It was more for like getting like crazy album covers out and stuff like that, like really for the love of like doing it for friends mostly, you know, like artist friends, but also some nice paid jobs. And I got into digital design for the first time-ish with a company called Motion in Design. It doesn't exist anymore. It was like 2-3 guys in an office somewhere in Montreal, and I started like just like doing like Flash, like not actually doing the Flash design, but like doing like layouts, you know, that this other guy would like integrate in Flash, and you know, we did a website for a famous band in Quebec called Les Trois Accords, which is kind of like this funny, like sarcastic, punkish pop band. And we did, it was a crazy idea. Like the website, like it was called Le Site Internet, like the website, the site. And basically it was just like a screen of a 3D render of a campsite that would change depending on your location and weather. So in Quebec at noon, and it was sunny and snowy, or like snowy, like, and you would get the exact weather on the site. So it's like super dumb, but at the time it was like a tour de force of like tech, you know, of like creating that 3D scene and you know, connecting to the geolocation. It was like so edgy, and you know, like the concept was great. And we won a prize for that like the musical like La Disque for like website of the year for that. And it was my first love of doing like first actually try of like making a digital experience and something creative like that. So I continued working with these guys, actually like went and got a job with them until 2012. And we did like a bunch of things for musical artists, for like breweries, for like small companies in Montreal and Quebec, and got to learn a lot about, you know, like digital design and doing grids in Photoshop at that time, and you know, like pushing pixels and stuff like that. But it got me like to meet a guy. I think it's 2007, 2018. Like the first iPhone is coming out, and you know, they announced, you know, oh, it's going to be apps, and nobody knows what the fuck an app is. Like some savvy people are like, oh yeah, we have apps on BlackBerry and shit. But you know, but like
The good old days.
people like me, I'm like, what's an app? You know, like what is this? So this guy like give me the opportunity to like actually design this app and kind of gave me a choice between like, hey, you want to be part of the company or you want to get some like money for it and, you know, add some student debt. So it was a no-brainer for me. I took the money. But at the end, we did a taxi app, the first ever taxi app. It was called Rocket Taxi. And it was basically just a rating system for taxi and geolocation for like, if you land in China, you just open your app and you see all the taxi lines rated, you know, with user ratings and comments and stuff like that. It was like super basic, but at the time it was like, oh my God, it's like, and you know, like Apple took the icon, the logo I created, and it was like everywhere. Like all the Apple ad had my logo, and I got paid like very like small amount, like about like peanuts, you know, to do this. But for me, it was great. You know, I got to get some money, but this guy made like fucking millions, like selling this app. So it was like a great moment in my life where you know, like sometimes like it's worth taking risk, and this like stayed in my mind, and I think helped me in my future self, like taking more risks and you know, believing in the projects you build. Also, it helps not having student debts. So
Yeah, not having the overwhelming like debt in your back pocket and that fear is definitely reassuring to have.
So after motion and design, they were like moving towards like a company building like WordPress themes for a musician, because we're doing a lot of like music stuff, which was a great business model. Honestly, I think the guy Max did like a great business after that with this. But to me, like I wasn't crafting like very unique experiences. I wanted to work like design for real people, not just like some generic like sense and building components for like a WordPress system. I kind of want to tackle real issues or real problems and really design around that. So I started like freelancing again, but then my girlfriend at the time got pregnant. So like, if anybody's out there, like you know that feeling when you're freelancing and you know you're gonna have a kid, it's kind of like, oh shit, I need to find a job. I need to find like a place where I can get stability, I can get regular income, so I don't have to worry. Like of course, a lot of people could like strive to that and like, no, you know, I'll build a bigger business and like, good for you. Like, that's great. Me, I was like, oh shit, I need a job. So my girlfriend at the time, which is an amazing designer also, she was working at Acufan. I don't know if you know Acufan from Montreal. I'm Montreal. Like these guys were the shit. Louis Paquet worked there. I think they're like somewhere between like 2012 and 2015. I mean the lineup they had in the agency. Oh my God, like so much talent. I think most of the great work I saw first from Louis Paquet was at Acufan, and as an outside guy in this little shitty agency, I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. I like this. Oh my God. And Acufan was like so international at that time. And they were having like all these restaurants and all these like great projects, like fashion projects around the world, like great brands. And I was like, oh, I need this. And I'm not having this right now. So like, Caroline, my girlfriend at the time, like she was like, hey, I know Jean-François GF, like, which is like basically my best friend now. He's like, oh, he has this agency, Locomotive, you know, like you should ask them, you know, if there's a fit, you know, if you think you can work, because I hated big agency. Like I had a couple big agency jobs, and I never liked, you know, those like 150, 80 people, like kind of like group. I love the small craft studio. I love like being like a tiny team. To me, tiny is like maybe like 5 to 30, like you know, this kind of like manageable size. And I met with Fred which was he still is kind of like the head of design of Locomotive, like he's the president. But at that time, he was doing a lot more like craft and design, like that compared to today. And they were a small team. I think like around 10 people, maybe 11.
What year was this?
This was 2013.
And when did Locomotive start?
2008.
Okay.
So I think the first name of the agency was Capone, like from 2008 to maybe 2010. And then they rebranded with Acufene. Actually, Caroline, my ex, like the mother of my child, did the original logo. Is it there? Like that.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
So this is the Locomotive OG logo. And she's the one who did the whole branding. And it was actually around that time, a bit after that rebranding, that I connected with Fred, kind of showed him my portfolio, my vision. Like if you remember 2012, 2013 is like the early steps of responsive design.
Mm-hmm.
So like we're moving from those m.youtube like website to like actual website that are responsive. And like the tech is not there. You have to hack your way through it to do like great responsive design. Like today it's easy, like you can even do it in Figma. We're doing this shit in Photoshop. And do all the states in Photoshop, like just building your grid. I would like spend an hour and a half just building my grid, testing something, moving my guys around. And it was just stupid. Today you just go in Figma, just like bam, 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 boom, finish. It's crazy that we have that speed, that velocity today, but at that time it was like way different. You have to spend way more time in the software and fucking Photoshop was slow. You got too many layers, it was slow. You're trying to bring in icons, working with smart objects. It was just like a fucking mess. Like we were trying to hack image software into like a layout software, and it was not working, and then you got Sketch coming in and, like changing the game, and then eventually Figma. But, like every oldies here remembers.
Oh, I put in many, many hours doing bullshit in Photoshop.
I remember my first experience with Figma. It was confusing. Like the UI was like way different, and it was like, oh my god, and you're kind of afraid. But I was like, how does things move so fast in the software? like how does everything move so fast? And I can open like 8 files and it's not lagging. What the hell's happening? And like the rest is fucking history.
Yeah. It only takes like one going into Figma to realize like, oh yeah, this is the superior tool.
And it's even a struggle for me, like being like a senior, doing more strategic stuff, more like high level stuff, and you want to connect, you want to still like connect with the craft, and the software moves so fast. I have Bastien Allard at the agency, like one of the most amazing art director we ever had at the agency. The guy is fucking like a beast.
Yeah, he's insane.
I know, he's a beast. He works fast, he works well, he's creative, he's open-minded. He's just a great collaborators to be working with. Like he's so talented, and he's teaching the whole agency how to actually work the software correctly. Like he's very, very inclined into like making sure everyone is on page with the new features, and try to help the devs, get, because when you do things proper in Figma, it actually helps the rest of the chain, like really getting what you're trying to do. And sometimes as a designer, it's like, do I really need to do like this object there, like that? Come on, the style sheet. Yeah, I forgot the style sheet. Oh yeah, and like we can be lazy easily. And I think like building things with those developers in mind, I think helps us collaborate better and then build those files better. And it's you can see the struggle even like magnified when you're actually working with an external dev team. When you're in with your team, it's easy. You can go on somebody's desk and have the discussion. Here I meant that, and I want this. But when you throw work out there, it needs to be documented. It needs to be well done. It needs to be well constructed. Layers named.
No, that's evil. How dare you, Dust?
But you know, when you realize that, and when you do the work proper, it just speeds everything up, you know. So you know, like, that's what I like a lot about Locomotive. I really believe there's no ego in the agency. Of course, it's a bit of ego. Everybody has, like, you know, like, I want to do great, and you know, when I'm challenged, I'll rebuttal, and you know, like a good amount of ego. But there's nobody, you know, who wants, you know, like, to just enforce their thinking or like push something. You know, everybody's very collaborative. We talk a lot about things, and we listen to point of view from operations, or a point of view from project managers, or from developers, front end, back end, and even designers. And we try to, like, align all the time. You know, we have a vision meeting that we have from time to time, where we invite, like, key people from every sphere, you know, in the agency. And we just address things, you know, like, hey, we've been doing this for like a while. Is it the right way? Do you see a better way? Like, is it great? Okay, this is great. Okay, no, we need to change this. We'll address this. And I think it's super important when you're running an agency. It's like, there's this quote. I don't remember if it's like Burton Kramer, but I think it's like one of the the designers of that time. They're like, I think the quote goes something like, you know, great design is not made in committee, it's made by great designers. And I kind of like lived through that, you know, like being like, hey, you know, like, it's true, you know, it's not by like mixing too much opinions or points of view that we get a great thing. You know, it's about like somebody that has a vision, and you know, we can achieve it. And the more I work in digital design, the more I find it's actually not true. It's great for like modernists that does like an identity program, and they can tackle this 3 designers and do everything. But when you're thinking of a bigger project, you know, and what we do with communication, with design, with marketing today, you know, one brain can't master everything. You know, and it's good to master a lot of things, but you just can't grasp everything. You need collaboration. You need to be able to trust somebody else making their best, and kind of relieving you of like this heavy burden of like trying to do everything. You know, and to me, that's the real struggle of working in this modern era. It's actually being able to be open-minded, to be listening to other people's opinion, but still challenge your own perceptions, and you push, you know, your point of view. And you know, it's a challenge every day. But if you don't do it, if you don't get those people together talking about this, challenging those ideas, you just get locked in this loop, and you can't really grasp, you know, the whole projects, the whole endeavor that is like what you're trying to do. And it's at the size of the agency, but it's also at the size of you and the client, and you and the client and the audience. You know, like, how you create that synergy between that, you know, like, fuck, I hate this word, but that connection, let's say, between this, you know, like, one example is like working with Lightship RV from California was amazing. You know, like, we really got with them on a level where there was this trust, you know, in the relationship. They knew they had this part to play, creating the content, providing us, you know, with great guidelines for what they wanted. We had Manuel working on the brand, you know, giving us other guidelines. But the connection between the 3 parties, working actually as one big team together with all the same focuses, all the same objectives, you know, to me today, as like a 44-year-old, that's what I drive on. I'm like, oh my God, this presentation or this workshop was amazing. You know, like, I could have done this myself. You know, I could have probably grasped one thing or two, but now I have a clear vision where I need to go, because I got all this input for everybody, and everybody was open to really discuss it and challenge things, you know. And when something doesn't make sense, you're not shy to voice it. And when something makes sense, you're actually like driving on the other person, like getting that idea, you know. When I'm like, we're working with the team, you know, like, and you get that great idea that comes, you know, whatever it comes, you know, from the junior like copywriter, whatever, or like the senior this, or like, it doesn't care. It's like, what's the idea? Is it good? Oh my God, let's embrace that idea. And when you're open like that and you're really, really like not putting that ego aside and really like focusing on getting the greatest idea, the idea is feasible too, because there's a lot of ideas that's just like, oh, it's a great idea, but I mean, we need to put this out in 4 months.
There's deadlines.
There's deadlines and money. So, we have to work it around. But I feel, that's why I'm still there after 10 years. I feel I'm surrounded with people that are open, that are really about trying to find the best idea that we can do, that we can pull out. And, when you're starting a project and you're not just designers and you have like one front end, one back end, one guy from production and project managing, and like sometimes an idea emerge and project manager will say like, oh, you guys are crazy, we can't do this in that time, like I remember this from the client, he doesn't like that, like it will give you that input. Or a developer that's just like, you're a crazy designer, like we can't use WebGL on a fucking like on this stack, and we can't use smooth scroll here, like this idea doesn't work, we won't have parallax there, and having that input early in the project is really enlightening, because you don't waste time on stupid ideas. You actually like tune it right away and move forward as a group. And to me, like, I wouldn't work any other way. Like learning to work with these people. Like, I feel sometimes like I'm the dumbest person in the room. These people are amazing. And even new blood, new people that comes in, I'm always like amazed by how people are creative, and when really working with this openness, like in the debates and stuff like that. It's great to challenge, but it's great to acknowledge too. It's great to be like, oh my God, this is great. This is such a great idea. It's missing this, we'll figure it out, but like, this is a great track, and having that energy, that openness. I mean, this is great. That's what gives us like velocity in what we do. Like, always amazed that this fucking team gets around 25 projects every year out. Even to me, sometimes like it's, my God, sometimes I would put more effort on the polishing, but at one point you need to lose the grasp. You need to be like, we did what we could, just a great job, let's put it out, it's done, let's go.
Collaboration is so key, and the culmination of people coming together, I think, breeds amazing and fresh and new ideas. And we so need that, because otherwise we'll just stay stagnant. We need people challenging our assumptions and really pushing us, even if we're, regardless of age, gender, race, none of that matters. If the idea is good, that's the only thing that matters. And I think creative people understand that.
I mean, you're going to have those crazy geniuses, that can do like many styles, many stuff, many different things. Like working, like on the 10 years I've worked with Locomotive, like 2 of them, 2.5 was Louis Paquet, that you had on your thing. And I think it's probably one of the person I've learned the most from. He's amazingly inspiring, like the way he tackles project, the way he thinks about a concept even before like analyzing any it's just great to see. A lot of the project, like Brews Grooves, that we did, like he was leading that on the design front, it was great talent. And Julien, that I'm working with now, that used to work with us, also like a great mind. And to me, like, I wouldn't be able to do what I do without those influences, without those people that you learn, that you collaborate with, that you challenge your ideas with. And to me, it's the key. I'm not that guy. I'm not that lone designer that can do everything by myself. I'm a guy that thrives with collaboration, that thrives with other people's mind. And sometimes I love to be like challenge and be like, hey, this could be this, so this could like move up to that. And I don't have this motion interaction mindset. I'm like this guy from print and Swiss grids, and to me, like, working with developers and motion designers really helped me like enhance those ideas. I'm like, to me, it's pretty static in my head, and then it moves into like motion after, like you compare like, sorry, I'm referring to Louis again, but I just listened to the podcast, so like it's fresh in my head. But Louis has this amazing way to like think motion first, and then everything translate, to that. I don't have this capacity. Like I see layout first, I see like functionalities first, I see strategy first, and then design and motion comes after. Like I have a different mind. It's okay, like, but like working with Catherine, which is our motion designer, is always like she's this amazing, like young, crazy designer. She's hungry. She always wants to do some crazy stuff. The challenge with her is actually to bring her down. Like it's like, oh my God, you're in the fucking stratosphere. You're like fucking flying there. You're like, oh, like let me pull you back to the project, okay? But she brings me so much energy. She brings me this new point of view on design, and we love the same music, so it's great connections. I love challenging ideas with her, or other people in the agency. Like I would hate to be like alone doing everything. Like I know, like with no code and like all these new technology, AI and everything, like we can end up in our basement and do everything alone. But I don't want that. I don't want that. I want to be collaborating. I want my ego to be challenged. I want my ideas to be rebutted. I love this. I have a debater personality. I love s'obstiner, like in French, we call. I don't know if there's an English word for that, but just like fucking arguing. Yeah. So I love arguing all the time. I can argue just for fun for 8 hours. Like even like holding a position that I don't really have, just for the sake of the mental sparing. Like I just love this shit. So like when it's design sparing, it's even better. Like oh, it can be that. It can be that. I don't like that. Yeah. I love this challenge, because at the end, the best idea win, if you can put the ego aside.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the great work comes out. Like to refer to that quote, like comedy is bad, but teamwork, collaboration without the ego, that's fucking good.
Yeah,
that's fucking good.
Hell yeah. I'm curious, over the 10 years that you've been at Locomotive, how has your job shifted, and in what ways have you evolved to become the leader that you are today?
Oh my God, that's a deep question. If we circle back in 2013, like I was saying before, the mother of my kid, my ex-girlfriend that was friend with Jean-Francois, kind of plugged me in with Locomotive. So I got a first interview with Fred. I remember in the basement of the old agency. It was like in this more like chaotic environment, but like they were kind of thriving already. They were onto something. They had great developers, and that's what interests me. What I was missing, from this other place. So I go there, I pitch my thing, show my portfolio, like show my vision. Like the speech at the time, I remember it was like, hey, responsive design's coming. You need somebody that thinks holistically about, design, like small space, bigger space. I'm specializing in this. I have a vision with this. I know where we can build, how we can build great tools. I need great developers. That was my speech. I was like, I love what you guys are already doing, and I think I can take that further, and I like a first job, and they had no process. Like, sorry, Fred. They had like, it was just like straight up to design, and the designer was like doing everything, and it was just going to development after, and they were dealing with the problems after. Like no strategic aspect, to analyze and bring some kind of process, into the thing. So to me, I saw that opportunity. I was like, hey, I just come from this place where I establish a nice process. I can make this better. You have talent. I can bring like the ideas I have and make something out of it. And Fred was enthusiastic about like my profile. He was like, oh, I think you bring great energy. I think it can connect. And maybe Jeff was a bit slower to get into it, like the very responsible man he is in business. He never takes like fast decisions. He always like really think about what he's doing. So we started some freelance work, was doing great. And I started as a art director. So really like building new ways of designing, new process with the developers, especially front end, and kind of build a new, well, not new, I wasn't inventing anything, but I was like getting this new knowledge that I've learned and kind of applied it and with this amazing team of developers. I remember they had 2 or 3 great front end. Quentin Day, which is like an amazing developers now. He does like creative code and all this. He left Locomotive a couple of years ago, went back to Europe. He's like doing great. He was at the awards conference giving a talk like a couple of years ago. There was Antoine who left for some crypto like company or something, but he was amazing. Like he's like one of the greatest talent we had. Just great young developers, and I just saw this opportunity to build a process around that and really like push the envelopes. And I remember like in the early years having a discussion with Jean-François, smoking a joint behind the office and just being like, what we can do and, to get more traction and get bigger clients and get stuff like that. I was like, there's this website like awards, that I know you guys already won Side of the Day with your website, like that I didn't do. Like it was like their website like before I got there. And I was like, maybe if we put the effort, we put the crying and we kind of push the limit a bit, we can get attention there and get the ball rolling and get some Side of the Days and get some stuff like that. So we really started to have that mindset, early on of like trying to impress the gallery, like try to like do some stuff, push the boundary further with clients, even if we didn't have the money, to make more that people expected and kind of push the envelope while building a more solid process, bringing some strategy aspect to the game, bringing some involvement from the front end in the creation process and stuff like that. And then, we just started like doing more Side of the Days and, it just kind of like snowball there, and kind of got bigger. And at one point we won Agency of the Year, I think in 2018. And it's funny because you can ask all the people at the agency, like every time we won, I always said, there's no chance we're winning again. Every time I was like this, like forget it, like I can name like 3 other agencies, like we're not getting it this year. Forget about that. We won one time, it's over. And then the second comes, and then the third comes, and then the fourth comes. And at this point, I'm like, this is ludicrous. And the fifth comes, and then you can see it, like,
yeah.
And in that process, I kind of moved up a bit in the company, moving from art director to creative director. And in 2018, when we won that first award, we got a lot of traction. And Louis Paquet was with Phoenix Studio on his side, and we kind of like merged forces with Devin, Jeremy, like some main assets that we have now in front end development, and some project managers. And we kind of like, that's really when the story, like the whole thing picked up. Really, you have that first award, you have that great team coming together, doing more and more and more amazing projects, and then one thing leads to the other, and and we kept winning. It was great. I mean, it was like great attention, like the business were really starting to pick up, and like budgets that we had for projects started to be bigger, and you can do more things. But it's the old adage, like more money, more problems. So yeah, like it's always like struggling with building a strong culture, because I think those 3 guys, that started that agency, Fred, the president, GF, the kind of the operation guy, and Mathieu, that you don't really hear about him, but he was at awards with Jeremy doing a talk like not long ago. But he's like the brain behind everything technical at Locomotive, like very, very, very savvy guy, and doesn't talk much, but when he talks, you fucking listen.
I love those people.
Yeah. And he's kind of the one, you know, like when we're struggling on a decision, he's kind of like the last hammer, like coming in and you know, making the decision. So this is something I always liked about Locomotive. This kind of energy between like three people that does like very, very different things. And when you look at businesses, like usually it's like, oh, it's one crazy designers and he built this thing. Oh, it's like one crazy developers. It's actually kind of rare that you find like this great like balance between like roles. We have a name for it. We called it the Triforce.
I love that.
So it's
How could you beat that?
The three points, the three like ahead of the agency. And I see myself like as the spark, you know. I came in there and like kind of like lit up things, and then the ball started rolling. So to come back to your question, I'm turning this like huge sideway. I think it evolved. Like the first 2 or 3 years, it was art director, really like crafting designs, and then, you know, like I kind of moved up into a more of a leadership role. But still, you know, like we're a small agency, so I get to craft a lot of things, less and less, I would say, like as the agency evolves. But I always love to like get my hands dirty in design and try things, and you know, like, you know, try new stuff and really craft websites and stuff like that. But I fell in love with the strategy aspect a couple of years ago, of like, because it was missing at Locomotive. You know, we were jumping in design too early. It was creating great stuff, but sometimes, you know, like UX wise, strategy wise, was not making as much sense. So I remember at one point, I think like from 2016 to 2018, I was for a short time the sole designer slash UX slash strategist at the agency. So it was like I wouldn't come back there, but it was I don't think it's 2 years. I think it's like 8 months or something, where I was like struggling a lot. And then MC Marie-Christine came in, like a senior designer that we have now, amazing person. And she came in, and now we started building a design team back. And like Louis Paquet came in, and more designers came in, and we really created like some energy there. But yeah, like right now we're two creative director. There's Julien, who takes we have kind of similar roles, but he takes a bit more of the design aspect, and I take a bit more of the strategy, UX, kind of like workshops with clients, you know, communicating with clients, articulating their ideas to the team kind of place. So I do a bit less, you know, crafting, still do some crafting from a project here and there. But I think my role now is more about like making sure creativity thrives, making sure, you know, like we're not like working in silos, that we're getting together, that we get the best ideas out, that we articulate it well, that presentation we do are well crafted or designed to make us move forward on the next steps of the phase of the project. So more of a managing role. I wouldn't say that I'm in love with managing. You know, I always say like I'm not a creative director. I'm a designer that acts as a creative director. You know, like I don't know if it makes sense for you, but
no, it makes perfect sense. Eventually, in the career shift, I feel like that kind of happens unless you're able to kind of continue doing the full kind of grunt work to final completion, getting your hands in the design, pushing pixels, and also leading strategy. That's kind of a rare thing.
Well, I think a lot, but not necessarily in a good way. You know, I'm a lot of an overthinker too. Like I overanalyze stuff sometimes, and the big challenge in my life is like kind of edit that part. You know, is like I can think of a lot of strategies, but which one's the best? You know, which one is the one we need to take? Like sometimes that's my struggle. You know, like a lot of ideas in the brainstorm, but which one is actually the good one? you know, and sometimes you have to trust other people for that. Sometimes you have to trust your instinct. Everybody's wrong, and you know you're right. Like, you have to fight for it, and it's part of the sparing, you know, the mental sparing that is designed. Because to me, it's more about that, you know, like if I wanted to be an artist like I used to, I wouldn't care about that. I would do me. I'm not an artist. I'm a designer. I'm solving problems. I'm solving other people's problems.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be there. I want to be empathic for them. You know, I want to really put myself in their shoes and use my brain and my abilities to solve their problems. And, you know, like everyone, like sometimes we fail at this, you know, like with the best intentions. We're like, oh, my strategy was so good, and blah, 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 and then, you know, everything fails. You know, it didn't pick up, and it wasn't working, and it happens. But you learn from it. You move to the next one, and then you like I know it's super cheesy to quote Gary Vee, but you know, like in the pandemic, obviously, like everybody, I was looking through a lot, like Instagram and TikToks and shit like that. You know, like, and there was this like video with Gary Vee that really like kind of shifted my perspective on this. It was like, I'd rather have like 325 wins and 200 losses than 3 wins, 0 losses. And it's kind of like stupid to say, but to me it was like, oh my God, it's true. It's better to have 300 wins, even if you lost 200 times, than just 3 wins. It means you tried, you've learned, you moved, you know, you did stuff, and this kind of unlocked in me like the like, hey, let's not be afraid to fail, and you know, like because, you know, like designers, you know, like imposter syndrome, you know, if you don't feel you belong, fraud, you know, like why the hell people following me, like, oh, you know, like,
classic.
thought of this in the shower, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's that feeling of like a lot of time I look at what I do and I'm like, this is ridiculous, you know, like I have no meaning, like I don't do anything in life, you know, like I'm not building roads, I'm not building, like I'm just like creating this visual for this client to sell more, and sometimes as designers it's hard to find meaning in what you do, you know, like especially if you work for shitty companies like in big like tech or something like that, and you're like, oh my God, I'm like making the world worst.
Adding the dumpster and landfill, or
yeah, but at the same time, you know, we have to do what we have to do, you know, like we're a lot of people, and you know, like we've created that economy and that attention economy, and it's my job to bring attention to certain brands and subjects, you know, like, and you know, at one point you embrace what you do, but you always have those moments where you're like, fuck, I'm useless. Like, you know, like it's absurd what I do, like, and stuff like that. But it's part. I don't think you could be a good designer if you don't doubt yourself every now and then.
I think it's healthy. I mean, you don't want to be the narcissistic designer that's just like, everything I make is fucking gold. Yeah. Everything I touch
and critique everybody else.
Yeah,
you know, you're shit. You're shit. You're shit. You're shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like me. You don't want that guy in your team. Well, they won't even really probably think of themselves as part of the team, just as superstar, but they can go do their own thing. I'm more about the collaborative craft and coming together of different ideas to make something. I know you hate this word, synergistic.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the right descriptive, but yeah. I just hate buzzwords like holistic and like words like that. It's just like too much of a big umbrella, you know. It's like it's the thing I try to do now, building strategies. It's try to get away from that lingo, you know, and try to be more precise on what you're going to do. Like, oh, I'm going to enhance the user experience. Like, what the fuck are you going to do? You know, like, tell me exactly what you're going to
do. Make some bigger buttons. Make them red.
With the buzzwords, you know, like, let's talk directly. Like, what do you want to do with this project? What are you trying to achieve? Like, fuck those objectives, you know, like, they're broadly, like, blurry, kind of like ideas. I'd rather be in like in hard, cold, gritty reality and design for that than being like huge concepts of philosophical kind of concepts and shit like that. I love the down to earth like approach. You know, what you're trying to solve. What can we do for you? And you know, like I think what we do good at Locomotive is like, I think we have a signature. I think we have like, oh, you can know like, oh, maybe this is from Locomotive. Maybe it was more true before, you know, when we were less agencies to do that. Now, you know, like with technology, with access to information, it got democratized, and more agencies are able to do stuff that we do using Locomotive Scroll, using Lennon, using technology that's open source and available, Webflow to Framer to like all these tools. And I think it's great, but it creates a landscape, you know, a bit like we saw with music. You know, like my comparison with music is like doing music today is like opening a restaurant on a street where there's already 150 restaurants. And you're like, I'm gonna do business in music. You know, it's like there's so much offer that's why that you don't pay shit for music today.
Yeah.
And musician needs to find creative way, like sell gear, sell like collaterals to actually make a living out of this, except from like the big stars that does a shitload of money. But I mean, I'm talking regular musicians, you know, like around New York or Montreal, you know, like they have to often to work a second job, you know, and put out their music, and they do it for the passion, you know, like there's not this opportunity anymore to actually be a productive, well-paid musician. That's pretty rare, you know.
Very rare, especially like, you know, 100,000 Spotify streams is like maybe less than $1 or some bullshit like that.
So it's like super excessive. It's great for the like the buyers, like the like music lovers, but it's not that great for like musicians.
No.
So I feel like this is coming to design too, and a lot of business with AI. But I mean, like at one point we'll have to rally back to that idea of that we need a lot of people to think together. You know, it's not about like I'm alone using technology, I alone using things. It's great for entrepreneurs, people that do startups. But when you think like agencies that have a reputation like Locomotive or Rogue, you know, you want to build that expertise and build that collaboration and be able to do things faster, better, you know, and using all these tools. But in the end, you know, to me, it's about, you know, we need to create a society. We need to create people working together. Like if we just isolate everybody in their own quarters, it's just like fucking prison. I don't want to be like you know, it's like working from home. You know, I love what we have at Locomotive. It's like kind of this hybrid, and I wouldn't go back fully to the office, and I wouldn't go back like fully at home. Like having like a job that I'm at home all the time, I would be sad as fuck. I would like fall into depression, and it would be awful. But if I would come back every day at the job, I would kill myself fucking traffic. You know, like it's like I don't even believe, you know, as designers that we have to come to the office. Why? Like I'm way more productive at home. So it's like balancing this, like I'm way more collaborative at work, but I'm way more productive in doing deep work when I'm at home. So it's like being like, oh, I need to go to the office and challenge ideas with my team. I need to go home, take this in, and fucking do 8 hours of design. You know, like it's like balancing this to life. And I think this is great. I love this. I love this balance of isolation where you can really go deep in your thoughts, and collaboration where you have the office and you can exchange all these thoughts and be challenged and be awake about what's going on and morphing your point of view, and then you go back home and do the deep work. Like open spaces, I couldn't like work in an open space anymore. Like living this you know, deep work state, like to me it's absurd. And there's no like 1 or 0 like binary options to that. It's just, I think the mix of both of them are beneficial.
Yeah, and it's hard to get that same feeling just pure remote. Like you can jump on meetings, you can use tools, but there's nothing like being in a room with another individual. You put a couple of people in a room that are super creative, they get some creative spark, they start bouncing ideas off each other, and some magic moments can really come to life.
Yeah, and it's true. And I believe you can do that remote. You know, like I think Studio Fright is a great example of that. You know, like they're all remote and they're doing amazing work. I think it's not impossible. I think it's what you can stand as an individual. Like to me, like I need human connection. I need to like have silly coffee table conversation, that stirred my thoughts, and then I couldn't go back upstairs and like kind of like work with them. But I love to, like some people hate it because I'm loud. I love to talk. I love to like to go to people. So sometimes I can maybe like challenge somebody like on a question, and they're like, oh, I'm like trying to get some deep work here. So like I think communication is key sometimes. You have this spark of, oh, I want to bounce this with this guy, but like, is he like in the right mood, right space, to have that conversation? So sometimes, like the challenge for me is like I get those sparks, those ideas, is to like write them down and maybe address them later. So this is like a challenge for me because I'm very reactive, very like on the go. If I have like one idea that pops, I just want to turn around and talk about it with like another creative, be like, oh, what about this? What about that? And like challenge the idea. Like it's just in my nature. So working with a lot of people, that's an important thing. Knowing the people you're working with. Like some people need some space. Some people likes those conversation, and it's all about like balancing that, to be productive. You don't want to tap on a shoulder and like break his like somebody's afternoon, like they were like on a strive, and you're just like, what the fuck, So to me, that's a big challenge because I'm very open. I like to talk about that. So respecting everybody's spaces and processes, that's really important. To get speed and velocity on projects. Like, you have to know your team. You have to know like the people, how they will react to this, how people like to receive critiques and stuff like that. Some people like it raw and in your face. Work with Isabelle Moranta for a while at Locomotive, like fucking amazing woman, amazing designer. But she liked that, she find it soft in Canadians, like in general, like compared to Europeans, we're like, oh, we try to like to polish the corners and make stuff like, like, you could like, and she would like, just give it to me raw. This is just give me what you think. And like you have to adapt to those persons. There's maybe another person that you're not able to go that directly. You need to have more poise in your approach. So basically, design is about like human interactions, interactions with the software we build, but also interactions between us. It's like we all have like similar but different points of view, and the only way to figure out the whole view is to exchange and have conversations. If we do things on our own, we only have part of the equation. We don't have all points of view. And I think that's where, diversity can be interesting. It's like that you can get all these points of view and you can adjust your aim, with this new information that you can't get on your own, that you can't get, just being one person, one individual experiencing the world. So it's like, connecting together really gives us this perspective of what actually is truth or like meaning.
Yeah. Let's pivot, and I think it's an easy pivot to building velocity and how you're able to kind of capture and build that velocity and momentum with your work at Locomotive. So 25 projects a year, that's a lot. That's a big hustle.
Sometimes 20, sometimes 28. Like it's just kind of an average. But I could certainly say in the past 5 years, 120 projects.
Wow.
That from small to big, like different sizes, different things, some branding stuff, some websites. But it always amazed me that we're like 2 UX designers, 2 creative directors, 3 art directors. That's the design team. With a 1 motion designer, Kevin. So like small design team, great force in front end. We have about 6, 7 like strong front end developers, and maybe like I don't remember the numbers exactly, but maybe like 4 4 to 5 backends, and you know, some project managers, some sales guys. So overall about 30 people. I think it's 10 in management, 8 in design, and 10 in 12 in development. So not a huge team, but not a small team also. You know, like we have quite a force de frappe. You know, we have kind of like a lot of people that can answer. We kind of create like micro teams. You know, it's not everybody gets consulted and bring in ideas, but usually it's like smaller teams, you know, that will work on many projects at the same time. But I think, you know, like if you're talking velocity, you know, there's a clear vision at the agency of what we do. That vision kind of create the culture. You know, it's all about like creating an environment so everybody's like comfortable to create and be productive. So it's about like being flexible to everybody. You know, like some developer, you know, can't do work before 10 a.m. You know, why force him to start working at 9? You know, if not getting anything from 9 to 10. You know, another person loves work-life balance. Another person loves fucking money. You know, you know, like everybody has different goals, different motivators. You know, and I think tuning in one-on-one with all these individuals, making sure they're in the right space, right environment for them to be happy, to be like creating, to have purpose in what they do, feel listen, you know, on their opinion on a project. And, you know, I think this is the difficult part, you know, because you can be that strong leader, you know, that drives everybody in one direction. But to be actually like taking the time, and when I say leader, I'm just talking about me. You know, there's a couple leaders at the agency. I'm not the only leader, you know, but everybody seems preoccupied by creating that environment where the greatest ingredient is trust. You know I'm not going to tackle this in the project, but I have enough trust in you that you're going to take what I did and what I've established and push that further and make it better. And sometimes, you know, I will doubt that, but I don't care. I trust you. You know, this is the hardest thing to do in design, to let go of like, you know, that was not what I intended to do with the mouse over effect. But you know what? You like it? You like it? Let's go with that. You know, like it's cool. You know, like to me, that's real collaboration. Sometimes, you know, like it's not going to be your idea. Sometimes, you know, there's a lot of time I'm like, I think my thing is better. And when I see the final thing, I'm like, I'm glad that I trusted him because it looks fucking dope.
Yeah.
And you know, like it's about letting go. It's about like trusting all these people you're working with and knowing your place in that bigger ecosystem. You know, like it's not, I'm going to collaborate. I'm going to work with everybody all the time. No. It's sometimes doing your part and then let it go and let another person take it on and move forward. But to do that, you need to have that trust. You need to have people in place that you trust. And even if it's going to take more time sometimes, because I don't know, maybe it's more of a junior profile or somebody that has less experience. But if you don't give them that space, if you don't give them the chance to actually do something of their own, they're going to either lose interest or not grow. And that's not what you want to do. You know, you want to get those people to the level that everybody is in the agency and get them tuned. And I think that's what Locomotive has done well in the years that I was there. Keeping people. Because, you know the industry, you know, like that. First of all, the only way you can really grow in salary is just moving from one to the other.
Yep.
You know,
it's like every 2 years is kind of the rhythm.
So the real challenge for an entrepreneur, you know this, I know you're smaller than us, but I'm sure there's still like challenges like that, where you have somebody working for you for 4 years, 5 years, finally it goes well. And, you know, they get a better offer, they change. So the real challenge is like, how do you get those people together in a long time, building processes, building ways to work, ways to collaborate so you can go faster. And that's been the Locomotive secret. You know, it's secret's not much of a secret, but the sauce, like you like the secret sauce. You know,
yeah, exactly. Tell me of the components of the secret sauce. Is it a little mayo, a little Worcestershire? What's in there?
Yeah, no, the sauce is definitely, like everything I've talked about so far, but it's about like breeding that culture, like making sure the fire stays alive. If you've been in the campfire, like sometimes yeah, you need to put more wood, you need to keep it alive, you need to keep that energy alive. And of course, it's always going to be people. Yeah, you make me want to drink more. But it's always going to be those people that at one point, they're not at their place anymore, and they're going to go, and it's okay. I'm not saying you need to keep everybody forever, but the more you keep people, the more you're going to work fast. Like for example, at Locomotive, like there's developers that's been there for 12 years, some from like 5 years, some from 6 years, some from 4 years, and they all work together very closely. So when we had a challenge, for example, on Lightship recently last year, when the deadline shifted from 4 months to 3 months, no idea where the content's going to come from, and we have to move fast. They have South by Southwest in February. We need to be there. We need to launch the brand and everything. So at one point, we had 5 developers working on the same fucking website. I don't know if you work with developers. Like having 5 guys harmoniously like working together like towards the same goal. This is a challenge. It's hard to do as developers. Everybody kind of have their ways of doing things, and to have like protocols, and to have like kind of a vision that really put an umbrella over that, and really push the project forward. You need people that's been working together for a long time. It's easier. I'm not saying it's impossible to do with people, like great people, like coming together for like a contract for a couple months. I'm not saying it's possible. It's way easier to do with people that worked on their same framework for a long time and use the same processes and use the same like kind of like way to code to achieve something. So to me, like when you talk velocity, it's also a lot about that. It's about experience, not just experience as individuals, but experience as a group. Working together for long times, developing reflexes and ways to tackle problems. To me, that's the greatest strength that we have, like because of the culture we create naturally with the vision. Well, we create this environment that allows this trust, and it helps us move forward. Also, because we always adapt the process depending on the job. I always thought it was a weakness from Locomotive. Like we have so much different types of clients. Always thought, like, oh my God, we're not clear with our vision. We're not attracting the exact thing we want. But at the end, it's quite the opposite. We're able to adapt to all these different kinds of clients, because we're able to adapt our process, adapt the size of the team that's on the project, and adapt the way we're going to work on the project. And this is a key thing, like if you just apply the same process to everything, of course, you're going to be locked in those kind of clients. But we work with Lowe's Innovation Labs that are like a huge, like part of a huge Fortune 50 like companies. But we also work with Lightship, which is like a 25 people startup. And working with both is very different. Startup, boom, 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 boom. We get this done, we move on. Sometimes we hit a wall, because we take risk, but, it's startup mentality. Like you try things, you move forward, and boom, small, two fast speedboat moving together, Locomotive and the clients. But then you work with Lowe's. This shit is fucking like 20 feet long yacht. You want a decision. It's like, oh, let's go up there, to the captain, and go back, and well, switching, and then you're there with your speedboard going around the fucking thing. So adapting to a bigger client was a huge challenge for us. We're fast, we're moving forward. Like these companies need time. They need to make decisions. They need to analyze things. It's a different mentality. So you need to adapt your process. You can't like manage this project the same way you're going to manage the startup. So I think it's one of the key we have, like we're able to make those switches. We're able to like adapt from one to the other and kind of build a team and build a process that is, like better for this type of client. So adapting, man.
Yeah.
Always adapting.
That's the key. I'm curious what the kind of team breakdown is for a project at Locomotive. How many people? What are the roles? Because I'm assuming that multiple people are working on different projects, and that's where you're
One
able
account manager, one project manager, one creative director, one art director, at least one front end, at least one back end. So if there's like more to be done in design, sometimes we bring in another designer. Sometimes if more work to do in back end, sometimes we'll bring in another back end, and we'll adapt depending of the deadlines and what's happening with the project also. Like sometimes a project goes well according to plan, we're at the right time. Sometimes, like it slows down and then the deadline comes right into your face and you need to adapt, to really reach that deadline. So like being able to have people with experience, being able to like jump into a project and really help another person, to me is the key. Like I have a project right now, where one of the UX designers is very in demand, on what he has to do. And I'm able to come in, another UX is able to come in and really help them because we have the same process. We have the same documents. We have the same way to work. We can easily come in each other's work and do more work because we're always aware of everybody, what everybody's doing. We do sometimes, I would argue, a bit more, too much meetings, but a lot of meetings, where we get the knowledge of where projects are. So as a whole, as an agency, you always have like this bird eye view of where the agency is going. What are the troubles? What are the great wins that we did? Like all this is like communicated to the team like often. So it's all about like being tuned together. It's like an ecosystem. You need to be like, and as soon as you have like somebody that is not there, you always have like this group of people supporting this person. So we're a bit like blood molecules. And the virus come and then we just like, let's get together and fix that. So
I like that. The antivirus approach to design. Yeah.
Well, it's really about like creating that that spirit of like so it always happened. Like, oh, the motion designer doesn't have anything to do. Like, oh, like this designer is dry now, or like this designer is overwhelmed. He has too much shit to do. Like. So you rebalance, you bring in somebody to help, you bring in like somebody to think with that person. And if you don't do that, you just have people panicking in their corners, and that's not what you want to do. You want to be able to, and it's always a challenge as a small agency because sometimes you have like in good Quebec French, la broue dans le toupette, like you have like the wind in your face and like you can't really like you're overwhelmed, but sometimes it's also about communicating that to the client, and remembering and like we're a small agency. Sometimes it's okay to say to the client like, hey, we're small, we're doing the best we can, we're overwhelmed right now, like give us a chance, we'll get to that deadline.
Yeah.
And being honest about it, being like, hey, like I'm not gonna tell you everything's fine, like we're getting that. No, I'm gonna communicate to you like, you're being a bitch now, like you're being difficult, like we can work faster than this, and sometimes it opens a door to like, yeah, I've been talking about this, what can I do to make it better? Like, is it better if I communicate this upward, like, and before, and sometimes you come up with a solution instead of like keeping everything gated and not communicating this. Like, we really see the team, our team, always as an extension of the client's team.
Yeah.
It's not us against you, it's us with you. We're part of the same thing. We want this project to be great. And sometimes, it's defending your team's idea in front of the client. Sometimes it's defending your client's idea in front of the team. Say, like, hey guys, you're fucking going around in corners here. Like, the clients want to achieve this. Like, we're not doing this right now. We're like locked into our thinking of what the project should be. We need to draw back to this idea. And I think this is a main role of a creative director, is like being that chain, between the client and the team, and being able to like challenge the team, but also challenge the client and say like, oh, like client, this is shit. Like I don't know where you're going with this, but like we can do like way better doing that. And then you get a bit like, and then like after a couple like exchanges, everybody tune in into the idea. And that's also what we're looking into clients, to have that fit. If I just ask you for a brief and you can't give me a brief and I have to do 5 meetings to get you a brief, why would I do a project with you? Like, is every step going to be that difficult? Like, if you can't express your ideas to me, like you can see those red flags or green flags if it goes well, like really fast in the project. And it's hard especially when you're starting business, to say like, oh no, I'm not going to take you and pay my employees with your money.
Exactly,
you don't have, like this characteristics, but you have to do it, because every time you say yes to somebody that doesn't fit with you is a no to somebody who could have fit. And the more you take everybody in, the less you get what you want to do. So if you really want to do what you want to do, you have to stick to your guns. You have to stick to your values. You have to be able to identify those values and be like, hey, this is what we stand for as a company, and we want to work with people that have the same stands. And if you don't express that vision and in your design and your company like documents, it doesn't express that, don't be surprised if you don't get that fit. You need to speak out your truth, speak out the way you think, so people are like, hey, I like those guys. They think like me. I'm going to work with them. And then you get a real fit. You get people like Flagship on our end, where like, oh my God, it went so smoothly. Everything was like moving forward, like them giving us ideas and back and forth, and just this great creative vibes. And you get other clients that I wouldn't name that, just keeps, not working with you, expecting that you would do everything and not collaborating. And to me, like the team has to expand to the client's team. And if they're not willing to do the work with you, how the fuck are you going to figure out everything for them? It's not going to happen. They have 50% of the keys. You have 50% of the keys. You can do everything alone, and they can do everything alone. It has to be a two-way conversation.
Saying yes to the wrong thing is an easy way to sink your ship if you take too many of those, because you're not going to end up getting the work that you want.
It's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
Because you run a company, you have like bills to pay, you have people to pay. What if I say no to them, but it's good money? Sometimes you're blurred by like this cloud of money. You're like, oh my God, you have a big budget. Yeah, but their people suck.
Exactly.
Like you have to be honest about it. You have to be straightforward about it. You have to be able to know what is a red flag for you. And as soon as you see that red flag, get out of there. It's another opportunity. Don't lose your talent, your time, your precious team on people that don't deserve them. And it's the hardest thing to do. Like, honestly, like every salespeople would say to you, like, yeah, good money. Can we work it around? Can we make it work? Probably. But do you want to make it work? Or you want it to be fluid and want to be organic and want to be like talking with people on the other side of the screen more often, because you're probably working with international clients and still have that connection.
Yeah.
But speaking of connection, I think it's doable. You were talking about like connection at the work, and we were talking about that, but it's okay to have connection to the screen. I remember in the pandemic, I was exchanging with Tim Evans from Malva. Great studio in South Africa, Cape Town. And we we posted shit like during COVID, like design stuff online. We just like, you have the same taste as me. And we started like talking. And we've been good friends like for a good 4 years now, but we never met in person.
Well, my whole team I've never met in person. So I feel you, man.
So it's doable. But I mean, I can't wait to meet this guy. I can't wait to fly to South Africa and fucking hug him and be like, dude. And he was in Amsterdam this year, and I couldn't make it to Amsterdam this year. And I was like, shit, like the first year in 5 years, and I'm not there, and you're there. It sucks. But we'll find a way. We'll find a way.
Yeah, next time for sure. Another year, another conference, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm not big on conferences. Like when I get a conference offered to me, like the first thing I think is like, oh, could Jeff come with me? Can we make this a trip? The only thing I do is do this talk, and then I can visit this place. So I see this more as an opportunity to to visit a new place, to meet new people, like to talk. Like I don't have this ego anymore, like to be like a superstar of design. And I like even like doing this podcast with you, like I thought of canceling it like at least 25 times. And I was like, I can't do this to Britt, like I can't let him down. I said yes, I should do it. And
You're like, oh, why does Dust hate me so much? What did I do?
thank you. I just not a fan. Like as soon as you're gonna post this, I'm gonna like signal you like as spam.
All I want, Dust, all I want is you to promote it on LinkedIn and Twitter, and you cannot listen to it. I don't care.
I'm not gonna like every time I'm gonna see my face, I'm gonna scroll down.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh.
Yep. Oh, I feel the same way. I'm sitting in the editing bay listening to me. I'm like, what an asshole.
It's just like
my wife is literally laughing in the background.
Going back to this, I guess our main subject is collaboration and being better human beings, where you share things and communicate things and share perspective, like about things. So this really draws us back to like, you can't do everything alone, even if you have AI, even if you have to know code and stuff like that. You can do it. I'm sure I can pull out a project by my own, but would it be as much fun? Would it be as much, learning, like about new perspectives and stuff like that? I think like the way we have to exchange ideas, especially when we start a project, I think that's where, like nothing is taboo, like every idea is good and you can really throw everything out there. And then, you edit. You're like, okay, like this might be a bit crazy, but how can we scale it down? And I think that's the real creativity. It's not about like, oh, I want to do this, I make no concession, and I'm gonna bring all the people and do this. Like, this works, like especially with like major budgets or like crazy hungry startups.
Yeah,
that would like don't care about time, don't care about money. They will just try for the idea.
Mm-hmm.
But like for the rest of the 95.8% of the time, where you have to actually balance ambition and restrictions, you need the real creativity is like, how the fuck are we going to do this on time without exploding the fucking budget?
Yeah.
So this is the real creativity come in place. It's not just like, oh, I have this crazy idea, we can do this. It's like, oh, I have this crazy idea, how can we do it? And then figuring out the how. The why is easy. the what we want to do is easy, but the how is always fucking complicated. It's always tough. How are we going to achieve that? And like looking at the landscape of design, I'm always amazed by small teams that does like very crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we can talk of the Aristide Benoit of this world, like that will do like 3 projects a year, but man, those projects, you're like, fuck,
they blow your mind.
Amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
And like this fascinates me because I'm in way other like mind state. I'm more like, hey, I'm gonna put 25 this year, like I'm gonna move with my team, we're gonna figure out like it's a different mindset, it's a different way to do things. And there's space for both in the market, like there's those companies, I can feel like the 28Ks of this world, like those small teams that craft really high end like projects, working with international connections to really like bring this up. And you have those local teams like Rogue and Locomotive. Yeah, well, you're less. I just heard you said like you're remote. But remote in the States or remote in the world?
All worldwide. So from Tokyo to South Africa to people in the States.
Tokyo to New York.
Yeah.
Shit, that's quite a difference. Call me in the morning, I call you at night. Like
exactly. Yeah, we're working around the clock. Every time zone, I feel like we got locked in right now.
Yeah, we had a couple of Japanese and Chinese clients. Like these are rough. Like in terms of like like workshops and getting meetings together and stuff like that, and also communication. When you work with such a different culture, how emotions are perceived, our knowledge is perceived, our respect is perceived. Like it's always adapting. To who you're talking to. Like I will always remember like working with a Japanese client, and they were like very, very optimistic in the meeting, but would come back with a very, very harsh. And I was like, I thought we had them on board, but they're definitely not on board. And I was like having trouble catching all the small like nuances and details of the culture, when you do business. And to me, that's the biggest challenge when you work with worldwide clients. It's adapting to culture, adapting to the point of views and the business language. Like we're French Canadians. It's optimistic all the time. Like we're
That's the only way.
energy, like stuff like that. And sometimes some people like it serious. They like, give me the hard facts, give me the hard thing. So adapting is always the key. Like it's always like adapting to your speaking, adapting to actually do good business, because you're in the business, like we're all in the business with services, like a bit of product, but still services, it's still serving people.
For sure.
So it's trying to give them the best experience doing what they want to do with the projects. And I think that's what GF, like Jean-Francois, the agency, really taught me as a designer. It's sometimes to really think about what this guy with his money wants to do. Are you enabling this guy idea? Like it's things he used to say to me, like, are you the guy enabling his vision? Yeah, it's your vision. Yeah, it's your project. You're trying to do something, but are you in tune with what he's trying to do with his business, what he's trying to do with his endeavor? And this really changed my way of looking at projects sometimes. And that's why I'm sometimes the asshole in the creative team that's like, yeah, but the client's trying to achieve this, and I'm not feeling that we're like centered around that idea. Like we're kind of like focusing it on what we want to do, but is it like really what he wants? And another key for real creativity, it's like it's easy to be creative for yourself. Well, not easy all the time. Like doing portfolios for yourself, it's hell. It's like the worst thing. Doing your own website as an agency,
exactly.
For myself every time.
The curse of the artist in that way, but to your point, doing work for your own self-fulfillment is different than doing something with tangible goals that the client needs to hit and money on the line.
Yeah, but using your talent to actually express somebody else's idea. It's the hardest thing to do. Because you have 5 better ideas, but he likes that idea. So how am I going to make this idea the greatest idea using what I know to do best? This is the hardest thing to do. It's actually design work. Yeah, like, you're not doing that. You're doing art.
Yeah.
That's the main difference between design and art. It's like it serves a purpose and somebody else's purpose, not yours.
Yeah,
or a generative like purpose, something that is common to everybody. Like if you're talking like big campaigns or like humanitarian campaigns or stuff like that. But you have to embrace the purpose you're serving. Like it's all about service. And sometimes as designers, with our egos, with our we tend to think that we have all the answers. We know a better route, and we're not considering the people that are in front of us that actually have a lot of experience doing their thing. They might not doing it right, and you might have a better idea for them, but the right way to draw them in is to actually embrace their ideas, not to just confront them. Sometimes you need to confront them, but most of the time, it takes a little patience and a little work, but you're getting that vision and you're able to translate it into something good. And this is our job. I like to say, we make the dreamful feasible. It's easy to think about something. It's easy to have an idea. The hardest thing is to actually make it, to actually execute it in time, on time, within budget. This is the hardest thing to do. Having ideas is easy. Like doing a school project for 6 months about a logo, it's easy. Try to do this logo in 2 weeks because this guy needs to for this is another challenge. You have to use your thinking process in a different way, and sometimes you have to commit to things that you would think longer about it. But you know what? You need to commit. You need to commit. You need to go.
And this is where I think you detach the ego from the designer when you actually committed to getting work out, because you can think forever. You can spend the rest of your life on the logo if you want. At one point, you have to assume like okay, this is done. I'm going to put it out. I'm going to give it to another team, and I'm on to the next one.
On to the next one. That's the mic drop moment. Boom. On to the next one.
And it's a hard thing to do as a designer, because we get attached to what we do. We get personally attached, emotionally attached to what we do. And the hardest part is to let it go. Like the client, like the Dr. Dabber brand we did, like for Dr. Dabber, you know, like I had a total vision. I did documents after documents for that brand. We had one of our friend, you know, my best friend, like working with them for 2 years, trying to build a design frame of mind, you know, like within the company to really apply his brand. And at one point, they let us go, they let my friend go, and they're on their own. And you have no control of that brand anymore. You need to let go. I'm not going to watch every of their posts and be like, oh, fuck, they used the typo wrong. And like, you know, like I can't be that person. I can't be attached like this to my design. At one point, it's done. I did my job. I'm on to the next one. I'm moving to the next project. And this is really important. I wished I had that attitude when I was a junior, or when I was starting in this business, because I was too much attached to what I do. I was arguing forever about things, not being a collaborative person, being somebody driven, somebody passionate, but not collaborative. Like I was not letting the input in. I was output. And
that the new
designer, I think, should be mostly input.
Agreed. Is that the new Triforce? What did you say? Collaboration.
Well, the Triforce for me would be articulate your vision. Like you need to be able to put it in words.
Yeah.
Like at Locomotive, it's pretty easy. It's like design and code are only tools. We don't believe we're defined by what we use, from Figma to Photoshop to whatever the fucking tool, AI. We're not defined by that. We're defined by how we collaborate, how we build this vision, how we work together. And that vision creates the culture, because it rallies people around it. You know, so people are like, hey, I like what you think, how you think. I love how you design. So like, let's work together. Let's like get this stuff going. Let's get this ball rolling. And you create that culture around an environment of trust and collaboration. You don't want people to work in silos. You want people to be able to have the safe space to say whatever they have on their mind, even if you're junior, senior, like whatever, you know, like best idea win. And then after that, you just want to adapt. You know, like nothing is set in stone. One client will work like that. The other will work like that. If you try to just like get everybody in the mold, it's just going to fail every time. You need to change the mold for everybody all the time. And if you don't do that, if you try like to build, I have this process for website and everybody needs to follow all these steps, it's never going to work. Never, ever going to work. Well, it might work sometimes, but you know, if you don't adapt it to the personalities, to the person you're working with, to the team you have at hand, you know, you're not going to be able to achieve the things you want to achieve. You have to be able to have that flexibility to change how you work from project to project.
But I like to kind of wind down the episodes by going into some fast and fun questions that are completely unrelated. We touched about collaboration process, the building of the agency, all sorts of like beautiful things about process. So these are just for fun. So what is your favorite tattoo that you have? Maybe one that's visible, but I don't know what's underneath the shirt, and I don't know if you feel like getting that personal here.
My favorite tattoo, I have like different favorites for different reasons. But just to keep in the line of, you know, the agency, collaboration, and everything, I have a tattoo on my forearms that 9 people that, well, they're not all working again with us, but there's this this double skull here that was designed by one of our. I can maybe send you a picture after this, so you can look. And I can maybe send you a picture of everybody that has this tattoo at the agency, because every time we do a trip, Because, you know, like one way for us to get people, you know, knowing each other and getting this friendship going, because we really believe, you know, like that we need to cultivate genuine friendships in what we do. And when I say friendship, I'm not saying like, oh, everybody's best friend. And, you know, when the agency closes, we all go to the restaurant together. Like, of course, there's natural, like organic things going. But when we say friendship, is more about like, what is friendship? You know, friendship is deeply caring about the outcome for the other person. And this is what we believe with clients. This is what we believe with employees and collaborators. It's like we try to build relationships where we deeply care about your outcome. Like if you're a designer, deeply care that you grow in what you do and that you able to express what you do, and that we believe that our clients, you know, we try to do the best we can for your brand and things like that. It's a deep, deep feeling that we're trying to cultivate, you know. And this friendship is built in the agency with the culture, and you know, you have the small things in the culture. You have like the small gatherings and the crazy stuff. Like for example, we do poetry, chat GPT poetry nights in the basement of the agency. So everybody like writes a crazy poetry like poem, and we all read it out loud with some lasers and like some smoke machines, and we create that completely absurd like night. Like this is the culture. There's 3 social club at Locomotive. Like there's social club, there's social club 2, which is kind of underground thing, and then you have the social club 3, which is a totally underground thing. Ask me why. I don't understand it myself, but there's like subculture of the subcultures at Locomotive.
Amazing.
And every year we go on a trip, you know, like it's all included. You know, we don't go to Portugal and fucking rent a house. You know, it's going to be crazy. You know, like doing the dishes every night. You know, it's just so we go to this all included resort, and for 1 week we have activities together. You know, there's 4 teams, 4 colors, and you need to get your points. You need to, you know, like there's kind of a competition going. We have challenges, you know, like as soon as we get to the airport, everybody gets this little challenge that they need to do to another person for another team. So all week you're thinking, how I'm going to do this. And you get to connect with people that you're not used to connect, you know, like back-end developers as a designer that you don't see often because, you know, they do the deep work, you know, like behind the curtains. So you get to connect with other people, like project managers with developers with designers, like people get together, mix up, and we get to have our spouses, you know, and girlfriends and boyfriend coming if you want. So we get 40, 45 down there, and we party, we have fun, we get together. So when you're a new team member, you know, like it's stressful, you know, you get to do a Locomotive, it might be intimidating for you. And at one point, you know, around April, we get that trip, you know, and we all get together. So after that trip, what I observed is like everybody's comfortable now. Everybody is like, okay, like all the ice has been broken, and now we can like actually get down to work. And all this week is paid by the agency. You know, it's a big investment for the agency, but I think it creates like the core for that culture. It's like, hey, I trust you enough as an employee, like to get you on board with this trip and really connect with you, really like get to know each other. And, you know, of course, not everybody connects with everybody, you know, like people are drawn to people they like or everything, but you always have opportunities throughout the week to actually connect through activities, to games, to like challenges, to really like force you to interact with everybody in the agency. And it all circles back to this idea of collaboration. You know, we need to cultivate this genuine friendship together, to be able to say what we need to say when it's time to say it, be able to be open, not shy, you know, and be able to communicate the right way. This event helps that. It creates those connections, between people that after a couple of years, after a couple of trips, I know you enough that I'm able to say the truth when I need to say it. I'm able to say a praise when I need to say it. I'm able to say critic when I need to say it. It opens up connection. It opens up that spirit, that culture. And it's genuine. It's organic. It's not forced. Well, it's forced a bit because we're creating the events. But, you know, like, you know what I mean.
What would you say that your favorite part of Montreal is, and what keeps you living there other than your job?
I have a love-hate relationship with Montreal. That's a tough question.
Okay.
I would say my favorite thing about Montreal is the food game.
Okay.
I mean, you can go to Italy, you can go to great places where you get great food, but you're not gonna get a span of food like you get in Montreal. You know, like I know some great Indian spots, some great Italian spots, some great French spots. You know, like, there's so much great creativity in terms of food, in terms of bars. It's really like comparable to like the Torontos in New York, the LA of this world, you know, in terms of like food. So there's a great cultural scene. There's a great art scene. You know, if you're an artist, you're gonna thrive in Montreal. You know, it's a city for that. There's really openness about it. There's really like a lot of festivals, mural festival for graffitis, you know, like jazz festival, music festival. Like there's like festivals after festivals as soon as the weather is good for it. You know, 5 months of winter, fucking hell, and then fucking spring comes in and it's like fireworks like everywhere. Like that's what I love about this city. What I don't like about the city is that it's dirty. It's a dirty city, like a bit like New York. New York is also like a bit of a dirty city, but the cultural scene is fucking vibing. You know, like there's this contrast between like dirty city, but like the mindset, the people, the culture is fucking amazing. But when you get in the restaurants and the clubs and the bars and where the culture really happens, you find out about gems, you know, like gems DJs, gems chefs, like there's all this culture driving. It's the 5 months long winter.
Well, if you could live anywhere, where would you choose?
If I didn't have a kid, you know, I love my kid. I would never get away from my kid, but I would be in Amsterdam, like hands down.
Okay.
Yeah, I love the city. I love the vibe of the city. I love the tribe of the design scene, like so many like great people I met there that are living there. Like I would like totally be in Amsterdam, but I'm glad where I'm at. You know, like Montreal area is a great place.
Last question for you: what is something outside of the design world that's really lighting you up right now?
Right now. It's been lighting me up forever, but like it's still lighting me up right now. But I'm a huge video game guy.
So what's your system? What are you rocking? Are you PC? Are you PS?
I rock everything, man.
Everything.
I have an Xbox X series, you know, for everything, third person view or like story adventure, like stuff like that. I'm a huge FPS guy on my PC. I have VR. I do a lot of gaming, like especially sports in VR. Golf, the ping pong is amazing in VR. So like simulation, a lot in VR. And my little girl is a gamer. Like she was huge Roblox. She would move from the Xbox to the tablet to the VR on Roblox and have fun all day. You know, like even me, I'm like, oh, you should stop playing video games, but I just want to play video games too. So sometimes we just sit together. She plays her game, I play my game, and we're happy. We're together. We're not talking, but we're happy. But yeah, video games are like, and since I was young, you know, like I remember getting my I had the Atari first. And then I had the Nintendo, the NES, you know, with Super Mario 1 and the Duck Hunt with the gun. That got me hooked on video games. You know, when I was younger, I would just like go to the dep. You know, depaners are like a bit like, how you call this in New York? You know, those little convenience stores that have everything. Bodega?
Oh, bodega, yeah.
Bodegas, yeah. So like in Montreal, it's called the dépanneur, like
okay.
Depaners, I guess, and so it's the same thing. It's kind of like you can get everything like from candy to like beer to everything. When I was young, I was just grabbing a bunch of candies to the store, rent 2 games, you know, 2 adventure games, go back to my place, like plug the Nintendo. And at that time, you couldn't save, you know, you couldn't like just play and save, you know, you had to finish the game.
Yeah.
We would stay like 12, 16 hours, you know, like trying to finish the game, you know, and you know, eating candies. And my mom was like, "Why don't you eat supper? Why don't you eat dinner?" Like I don't know. I just hate the fucking like $5 of raspberry candies. It's just like crazy. So even today, you know, I'm 44 years old, and one of my best moments in life is just like getting a new game, you know, especially in Venture one you know you're gonna spend like 60, 100 hours on.
Yeah.
And you start the RPG, and you have your candies and my roll-up joints. And you know, I know I can go for the next 8 hours and just enjoy this game and just smoke, get high, eat some candy, and I still feel like I'm fucking 12 years old.
Exactly. It's a mindset. So if you had to choose one game to play for the rest of your life, what would that be?
Do I have to play it alone, or I can play with people?
You can play with people.
FIFA.
FIFA. All right. FIFA. I didn't know if it was going to be like Final Fantasy 7 or what it was going to be.
Final Fantasy 7. You know, I played that game. I have like such a fresh memory in my head. I'm like, it's 2001, September. I'm playing Final Fantasy 7, and I've been playing all night, September 10. And I just like closed the console around 7:30 a.m. And I closed the console and switched back to cable TV. And fucking, you know, it's the planes in New York. It's September 11th. So dude, I had like this memory of like being at the end of the game, fighting some like fucking monster down the fucking lake, and you know, like all these crazy like after games of Final Fantasy 7. And switching the TV to fucking one plane in the towers to two planes in the towers, and be like, what the fuck's going on? And you know, like this is like, I can tell you what my color sofa, what the smell is in the room, is those kind of memory that marks you so much that you can see everything in that span of like maybe 2 hours. So yeah, it's but Final Fantasy 7 was amazing, man. I think it's one of the craziest game I've played. So much depth in it, so much different side missions and stuff you can do. Animation was great. I always loved turn-by-turn RPGs. Like it's just like, so you can smoke, you can drink, you can eat. You know, it's slow pace. You know, you're not just in action. It's just great. It's just great. Yeah. I love gaming, man. Sorry, it's a real passion for me.
I have a PlayStation 4. I don't game very often. I am spending most of my time either like reading, writing, or editing these podcasts recently.
No shit. Yeah. But you know what I was saying before with like the dreamful to the feasible?
Yeah.
Like you're a great example of that, because everybody got podcast ideas. But to actually get down, do it, edit it, you know, get into the nitty-gritty of it and actually execute it is the hardest thing. So I would love to give you a big props on that. You know, like even like the low-key legend concept, I probably thought of something like that 3 or 4 times, you know, in the last like 6 years. But to actually take it, to do it, to get all these people on boards, big props to you, man. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I need the validation to keep me going.
No, man. Don't praise yourself, man. It's easy to think of. It's hard to execute, and you're executing it. So props to you, man.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I think it's probably a good time to do a little wrap. There's 1,000,001 insights that people can take away from the velocity of Locomotive and bring it into their own industry, their own studio, their own practice. So I just appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on.
You know, like every time that somebody, like even like you inviting me to like a low-key legend, like low-key I get. Legend, I'm like but you know, like even when I get praise or get invited to a talk or like that, to me it's always like amazing, because I'm like, I don't see myself as this like whatever genius or whatever like pedestal, you know, like people like I always like try to keep it real, try to keep it like down to earth, even in the work I do. So it's weird, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I pushed myself to do this conversation, and thanks for letting me.
So to everyone out there, Take the time to be kind, grind, and unwind. Remember that we are all legendary and have our own story to tell. And let's make the world a more creative place. Cheers.